often thought about what would the perfect player look like.
It might play the game in a completely different way from the way that we play it.
As a chess player, you want to know more about chess, you want to get deeper. There is so much still to learn.
AlphaZero played a match against Stockfish, which was the strongest computer that we all knew, and it won the match.
And all of a sudden I thought, wow,
does this really work? How does it know how to do it?
I started thinking, oh, it's quite interesting. And there's just a couple of games that went bang.
And these were very exciting games, very attacking games, giving pawns away right at the early stages of the game. The other computers were thinking, well, that's too early.
AlphaZero doesn't have any rules. It learns through experience.
Really didn't think there was room for this huge attacking style, never in my wildest dreams.
There's even more depth than we thought in chess.
It's like discovering the secret notebooks of some great player from the past.
It explains AlphaZero's strategies.
How does AlphaZero think? AlphaZero blows apart what traditional engines are doing.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this stream. Commentating.
Hi there.
Hi on the Caplin British Online Chess Championships. Hello, Mark Halsby, the very first with the first comment. Good to see you today. So yeah, no, it was an exciting day yesterday. Just the first day there, and obviously we're going to get some stronger and stronger matchups as the top players start to encounter each other. So this is a 5-round qualifier, and the top players will get the right to play in the actual championship proper, and there they'll be taking Grandmasters like Michael Adams, the absolute legend, of course, but Matthew Turner, Bogdan Lalic, Mark Hebden, all the familiar faces of British chess. So yeah, I mean, really looking forward to it. And our number 1 seed in the qualifiers is Peter Sauray, who
he's in action today on board 1. And Peter will have, I think, the white pieces against George Miller, another English player. And then on board 2, we have Paul Rowan against Declan Shafi, who is the top Scottish player in these qualifiers. We'll also keep an eye on board 3 with Tom Villiers against Mark Boswell, and board 4, Hussein Alogali against Matthew Payne. These should all be very good matches, and the top Irish player in these qualifiers is on board 5, Benjamin Murray against Tristan Cox.
Yeah, and we'll also be keeping an eye on the qualifier for the women as well. We had some exciting games there yesterday, so we've got a few games lined up there to follow these as well. So should be some good chess over the next couple of hours.
And board 1 in the women's, we have an Irish player who we followed yesterday as black, Lara Putar, and white, an English player, Lindsay Pune. And board 2, we have Scottish player Alice Lampard against Susan Barry from Ireland. And board 3, an all-English matchup, Silla Rajiz Lazar against Tashika Aurora. So there should be some very exciting games there too.
Yeah, and we noticed actually just how young many of the players are actually. So we've got a lot of well, you see a lot of people with usernames with 2007 or 2012 in there, and yeah, it turns out to be their date of birth. So really an awful lot of young players playing.
So that's great for the future of British chess.
Well, exactly. I mean,
many players coming through.
We do need some young players coming through because we've got I think every generation.
Is that right?
Well, I mean, the top British players are all well, they're not all fairly old. I mean, Michael's a couple of years older than me. I'm 40. How old am I? 46.
Do you remember how old you are?
Yeah, that's 46. Obviously, Nigel's a bit older than that. We've got the whole generation with John Nunn, John Spielner, of course, still very strong, but up there in their 60s, of course. We've got Gawain and David, of course. They're end of their 20s, the beginning of their 30s. Luke McShane is a little bit in the middle. He must be about 40, I guess, or nearly 40, something like that.
23, I think.
Okay, but
I
it's
think 'cause it was the same year as Frankie Goes to Hollywood singing
okay.
singing Relax or Two Tribes or something like that.
Okay,
We had
fair enough.
conversations about that.
But I mean, it's not super old, but it's not super young either. And you compare it to, obviously to countries like France or India, and there's so many good young players coming through. And we've had generations after, strong IM strength players as well, but nobody the caliber, for example, of Michael Adams. So yeah, we're really hoping that a fresh influx of British juniors is going to to take us up there in the world again. We're still pretty strong country in the world, but you can always be better, of course. It's so yeah, and one of the most promising players is playing in the qualifier. That's Shiraz Royale, playing under the lovely username of Killer M. So
yeah, and he won. Treyas won yesterday, and today I think he's on board 6, taking on Shivam Agrawal. So we'll keep an eye on that game as well. And Julia Volovich on board 7, she also won yesterday. So we'll check in on that game too. Young junior girl player from England.
Fantastic, yeah. It's really really incredible, and it's quite nice as well that obviously we wrote the book Chess for Life a few years ago about how people can still stay as strong as they were or get stronger as they get older. And so it's great to see, lovely to see young players, of course, but also good to see Peter Saueré, born 1959, just at the top of the qualifiers as well. So yeah, they're just really really good fun, and actually also nice to keep in obviously with COVID, the lockdown and everything. I haven't seen you got so used to seeing the British players all the time, at the 4NCL or something like that, and just meet up, say hello, just always nice. But in this way, you do see a lot of these, a lot of the players that you saw frequently. You just see them playing these events, and they've sometimes got slightly strange usernames, but we know who they are. So thank you, Mark. Yeah, very proud of that book still. I've from time to time, I do. Just to pick up, one of the books, we've written or something like that, and have a look at it, and I still think, there's still some good stuff in there. So I'm really glad you enjoyed it. Let's have a look. It is 3 minutes to 1. We're going to be getting on the start soon. So how it works for these games, it's all on chess.com, and the arbiters are actually starting the games for the players. So it can sometimes you can sometimes have to wait, just a few minutes before the games start. I mean, they start doing that at 1 o'clock, but obviously quite a few games and only a finite number of arbiters. But yeah, yesterday I think probably after about 7 or 8 minutes, pretty much everyone was on the way. So I mean, they're doing it very nicely, I think. And I mean, just want to say a few words. Just well, thank you first of all to Caplin for sponsoring the tournament. I mean, that's massive. And but thank you also to all the arbiters, because running something like this online, it sometimes doesn't sound that difficult, but actually it really is tricky to do anything online, make it go smoothly, make sure that the people don't have unexpected glitches. It really takes a lot of organization.
Chief arbiter for this event, of course, is Shohreh Bayat, and so making sure all the games start in good order.
Indeed. I mean, I've joined the WhatsApp chat for the events, and well, you just saw that this WhatsApp chat, people were asking questions still until 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, and there were people answering that and giving answers. I was really impressed. I really thought it was hats off to everyone for such a huge effort, because I think it's lovely for for British chess grassroots as a whole that the British Championship is taking place this year. At a strange time, in a strange way, but still, and I think it's very important. And I think that all the volunteers who give all their time and do that, we owe them a big vote of thanks. All right, I'm now going to share my screen. So, Natasha, you're going to have to tell me whether this works, because we always have a little bit of a struggle there. But here we are. Okay, I'm now going to put the screen on, and then I'm going to spotlight it. So there we are. And now what you should be seeing is we should be nice and small, and the chessboard should be nice and big. So
that's working.
That's working fine. Okay, I'll just make the board just a little bit bigger just to cover the whole of the screen. And I'll just take off. There we are. That's good. And let me just organize a couple of other things. That's done. And I'm just going to take off that name, which is rather interfering now. Up. And we should be good to go. Right. Okay. Shall we have a look to see whether anyone's playing so far?
Yes, we could check in on Peter Sauer.
Start off with Peter Sauer. Started already. Fantastic.
Okay.
Look at that. And D4 from Peter Sauer. That is exactly as expected. A very big D4 player. Pretty theoretical. We mentioned yesterday that he was he trained with one of the people we interviewed for Chess for Life, Terry Chapman, and they used to train against each other, prepare openings every week, and then come together and test them out against each other. And well, you see how it really does work, because both of them are very nicely prepared theoretically.
And interestingly, his opponent is also another experienced player, born in 1958.
Oh my goodness!
Yes.
And he's playing a Tarrasch, which is quite a rare bird, really, at top level chess. I've played it quite a bit. I've actually got, I think I've got 4 draws against Kramnik, or 3 draws against Kramnik maybe, and 1 draw against Vishy Anand with this. So it's always.
I remember when you played a novelty against Kramnik in it at the London Chess Classic one year.
Ha!
Caught him by surprise.
It's those are the things that you always enjoy, isn't it? It's Black's. This is actually very unusual. Oh, Black's playing an unusual line here. So normally after Bishop G2, the classical move has been Bishop E7, and C4 in various guises has been played as well. But this is a very unusual line. Bishop C5 is a similar sort of unusual line, but Queen B6. Now there's an interesting book by I'm sorry now, I don't know his nationality. It's a guy called Alexei Bezgodov. I think he's Russian, but I'm not completely sure. So you know, just don't if I'm wrong about that, my apologies. But he wrote an excellent book on the Tarrasch and looked at lots of these unusual lines and actually kind of proved that that they weren't half as bad as their reputation. The idea with the Queen B6 is that Black's looking for White to play Knight takes C6, and then you'll go B takes C6, and all of a sudden you haven't got this this weak isolated D pawn anymore. It's supported by a pawn on C6. The Queen is a bit exposed on B6, but it's interesting. And it's quite an unusual line, and interesting to see that Peter Sauer is thinking. I wonder whether he's seen this one.
Must have taken him by surprise.
It could well be, yeah. I mean, it's a very unusual line. Now, I'm trying to think, was it Schlechter, the great Karl Schlechter, who first played this in the 1910s? I'm just having a.
Well, neither of these players were alive in the 1910s.
No,
They're
indeed.
both 1950s players.
Indeed, I'm just having a quick look to see. Indeed, Karl Schlechter. So there's and also the I think it's the Polish player Salway. They both played this line. There's a famous game, or famous. There is a game, Frank Marshall against Schlechter, in this variation, which is still quite topical theoretically. You know, played in when was it played in 19? Wait a minute. I can't quite see it on my screen. 1912, and still quite important theoretically.
1912. Is that the year? Was that the Titanic? 1912.
Oh, I don't know.
I think it might be the same year as I'll look that up while we're.
If you were John Motson, you'd have all those facts at your fingertips like that. Yeah. And there's also a game Rubinstein against Salway, also quite famous. And I think Rubinstein. This treatment of that Rubinstein used, that was more or less thought to refute this line.
Yeah, 15th of April 1912 was the Titanic.
Oh, well done, Natasha. Brilliant.
Yeah.
So that's quite an incentive to start coming up with all these old games now, actually, because that's quite.
I've got to find interesting things on each year.
I just do an analysis diagram because I can just show you this Rubinstein Salve game. Yeah, I mean, just to say in general, these classic games, they often are so useful just for giving you a feeling for what's good in the position. And players like Rubinstein could really, really play. So this is from 1908. So Rubinstein took pawn takes, went castles. Salve went bishop e7. And then Rubinstein just very directly went about occupying this square with his pieces. And he also went to exchange off this dark squared bishop, which is the main piece for defending the dark squares around the d5 and c6 pawns. So he played knight a4, queen b5, bishop e3, castles, and rook c1. Salve played bishop g4, very reasonable, attacking the pawn on e2. But Rubinstein answered with f3, gaining a tempo on the bishop. And then this move, bishop c5. A very nice move, exchanging off the dark square bishops. With the dark square bishops gone, this square, for example, this square, they're really, they're full white. White's also got a good d4 square for his queen, for example. It can be very, very unpleasant. So Salve played rook e8, rook f2, a very nice move. I mean, Rubinstein, he knew perfectly how to maneuver. This pawn can go to e3, and then the rook can come over to c2, and also
you've got everything lined up on that c5 square.
Exactly, and this bishop on f1 can also attack the queen on b5. So beautiful strategy, really, really gorgeous. So knight d7. Takes, queen d4, lining up, just attacking this square and also attacking the a7 pawn. So this rook on a8 can't move now from a8. Rook e8, bishop f1, rook ec8, black desperately trying to get into c5, and white plays e3, attacking the queen on b7. It's all just in time, all perfect. And then queen b7 and knight c5 here. And after knight c5, rook takes c5. And again, this exchange of knights is very, very good for white, because again, the knight was a piece that could defend the dark squares, and now they're all gone. And now essentially Rubinstein just lined up on this c6 pawn and won very, very easily. I think Salve made a blunder quite soon. That was a big. I think if you're looking for differences between the top players nowadays and the top players of then, because Salve was a strong player. It's in defence. The top players, they do not blunder, but the top players of that day and age, they certainly did. And here you see Salve really just not doing a very good job at all of defending his queenside pawns, and played rook a7 to defend a6. There's a little tactic here. I don't know whether you want to give yourselves 5 seconds just to spot it, but Rubinstein finished off with a very nice rook takes c6, and after queen c6, queen a7, he'd won a pawn, and this one is hanging as well. So Rubinstein Salve, a really perfect demonstration of what white wants to do in a on the white side of a Tarrasch in this type of pawn structure. So yeah, I mean, really do never forget, do have a look at those things. So Peter Sauer has castled there, which is very natural, and now black's thinking a little bit, maybe just getting an idea of where he wants to put the pieces. We'll have a look to see whether it follows either Rubinstein Salve or Marshall Schlechter.
I read this book. It must have been in my 20s. And I don't know if you know it. It was called Zoom, like Z-O-O-M, Zoom. And it was all about this pawn structure and then how to line up on the C file. And controlling c5 and d4 and the terra structure. I don't know. I think it's probably not still in print, but it was nice making it really simple.
Who is it? Who is it by? Actually,
I don't know. I just remember it's called Zoom, and even then it was an old book.
Let me have a look. Zoom chess book. Got to have a look at that. Zoom chess book. I'm not getting any hits for it, but
yeah, I think it might even have been out of print in the 1990s.
Was it Zoom 001?
Oh, I don't know.
0 hour for operative chess opening models.
Could be, couldn't it? That sounds like the sort of thing.
It's by Bent Larsen.
Ah.
It's available on Amazon.
Is it? Well, I recommend it then.
Good Lord.
It was, yeah, I thought it was really great. I even started playing that opening for a while.
Oh, okay, typical end-game structure. I didn't know this at all. Wow.
Well, you better get hold of it.
Indeed. Nice tip, Natasha. Yeah,
Right.
Stefan Zoten, that's right. Yeah, thanks, Frisco. Yeah. Is it in German or is it in Danish? Maybe even.
I read it in English.
You read it in English. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
That's good.
I did read some chess books in German in my younger days, but they were mainly Alakind's theory books rather than anything else. And I think but the book Zoom was definitely in English that I read.
Yeah, I mean it's got rave reviews. So yeah, amazing, brilliant. Well, thanks very much. Mark, you're saying, do you think there's a best first move for white? I don't think so. No, I mean I like I do. D4 and knight f3. Yeah. Those two together, they're the most flexible, I think. They really are, because you've got then with d4 and knight f3, you've got so many beautiful transpositions. I mean, those are a beautiful flexible first move, but whether they're really better than one e4, I don't know. The one thing about
AlphaZero likes d4.
AlphaZero likes d4 indeed.
And it thinks there's like 56% expected score or something, just only slightly above if you were doing e4, which I think was 54%.
Yeah, it's something like that. On the other hand, if you play Leela and you just ask Leela to make its first move, then it wants to play e4 all the time.
Okay, so there can't be too much in it.
There can't be. No, there's nothing in it, I think. But as I said, d4, knight f3, and also with c4, I think that gives a huge amount of flexibility in opening move orders. Whereas e4 is much more direct. Really, you play e4 and that's it, and it's always going to be an e4 opening. So from a practical point of view, I do like d4 and knight f3. Oh, and Pete hasn't gone knight a4 like Rubinstein. He's played b3 here. Which I would imagine is a very sensible move, of course. And I would imagine that this has been played before. Let's just have a little look at that.
That's part of Zoom's strategy as well, b3, because you don't want your pawn on b2 ever to be on prise when you're going to put your bishop out to e3. And you want to stop some knight coming in on c4, perhaps, to attack your bishop on e3 when you put it there. And you support your knight on a4.
Okay.
Peter probably has read that book, let's be fair.
It's no, probably has indeed. So okay, so yeah, b3 has been played a few times indeed, and yeah, by some decent players. Oh, Korchnoi against Bronstein, we've got as classic games, and also Furman against Semyon Furman, very strong player, against Mykonas, another very strong player from the 1940s, 50s. So yeah, interesting. Let's move on to some other games. I've got rather carried away with all the character stuff.
Just like the opening here.
Yeah, sorry about that. Let's move to board 2, and we will observe Declan Shafi. Let's have a look there.
Oh, this is
wow! Wow!
Look at this.
This has really been happening. So, wait a minute. Is this correct? Pal Rowan against Stanbad 1. I'm thinking that this is not actually. This is not actually who we were going to look at. Actually, let me just try again, because I think Declan Chaffee is this rather
Oh
famed
yes, 556 2000.
number, but he hasn't started yet, it looks like, because I'm not getting anything for him at all.
Okay.
So
There must have been repairings, I guess.
I'm wondering whether there's been repairings, yes, because you gave me that beautiful list. But I'm just wondering whether people have been repaired, because it looks like Paul Rowan, who should have normally been playing against Declan Chaffee, he's indeed looks like he's playing somebody else, in actual fact. So okay, well, let's keep on going. Let's have a look at Killer M, Shiraz Royale. Let's have a look, see how he's getting on. So a King's Indian here. Ooh, and Black's doing quite well, I think. So let's have a look how that went. So D4, Knight F6. So it's a Shivam Agrawal against Shiraz Royale. G6, Knight C3, Bishop G7, King's Indian player. Knight F3, castles, H3. I mean, who are the King's Indian players in English chess? Well, Luke McShane was a long-time King's Indian player, although I don't think he does that very much nowadays. John Nunn, of course, was the big King's Indian player, huge King's Indian expert, many novelties and new ideas there as well.
I've seen Hebs play a King's Indian before.
Mark Hebden, very big King's Indian player, lifetime King's Indian player, and also Joe Gallagher, now living in Switzerland, now playing for Switzerland, I think, Joe Gallagher, but very big King's Indian player. And we've also got, there's quite a few actually, Willie Watson, Grandmaster William Watson, and Jonathan Mestel as well. You know, there was a big... funnily enough, I don't know whether you know this, but when the King's Indian first started being played in the 1920s, the British players were at the forefront of playing the King's Indian. So Fred Yates, one of the big English players of that era, and also Sir George Thomas, also you know, both played the King's Indian. Fred Yates especially, he even beat Alekin with it. So you know, there's a big King's Indian tradition with British players.
But it sounds like our modern players don't so much.
Well, no, I'm trying to think who would. Gawain. Shiraz, of course, and Gawain Jones. Gawain plays the King's Indian.
Yes, of course.
He's a very good King's Indian player. So no, the tradition sort of carrying on. I've dabbled with it a tiny little bit, but it's never been my my main opening. So let's have a look. E5, D5. So E5 is the Makoganov system. Thought up by a very strong Russian player of the 1940s, Makoganov, who was you know, arguably about the third or fourth best player in the world at the time. And the idea, in actual fact, is to play G4 and clamp down on Black's potential F5 break. So Knight A6, Bishop E3. You might play G4. You might even play Bishop G5. This is quite a common move. And if Black plays H6, you just move the bishop back to E3, and you just claim that that weakness that you've provoked with H6 is actually going to damage the Black king side. In particular, this pawn gets rather weakened when Black plays the pawn to H6. So Black played Bishop E3, White played Bishop E3 rather, Knight H5, slightly unusual at this particular stage, I think. And now normally what you would suggest for White here would be a move like G3, just to stop this knight getting into F4. But White played G4, Black plays Knight F4, Queen D2, and F5.
That's the break you want to get in.
That's the break you want to get in. And of course, you know, White doesn't really want to play a move like Bishop takes F4, because after E takes F4, then this diagonal is opened, and also White misses the dark squared bishop. So White played G takes F5, pretty natural stuff, and then castles. So White's now got this this open G file, so a rook can go there. But Black's reasonably happy because the knight on F4 is very stable there, and it's also blocking any any attempts from white to get the bishop active, along here. So it's a double-edged position. I think in general, black should be reasonably happy with the opening there, because to get a knight on f4 and a good square like that so quickly, that's pretty good. And black's taken on e4, playing very natural, quick moves, getting the bishop to f5, so all the pieces developed. And
nice having that bishop also on that diagonal, that light squared diagonal, because the king has absolutely no moves. And so if you do, sometimes you can manage to get like a queen in on a1 or a knight in on b3 check, and the king just can't move.
Yeah, or knight on a2 like that, indeed.
Yeah.
That's just going to be a checkmate. Yeah, it's actually an interesting moment now. Black's got to have a little think about where to put the pieces. So, because if you play a move like bishop g6, let's start up an analysis board. Black has played bishop g6. Then you've got to watch out a little bit for this move h4. So h5 is going to come in. You're going to chase this bishop away, and then h6, and it's a little bit tricky for black to know what to do. I mean, you could play a move like h6, just to keep the bishop on that diagonal, but then this square is weak. White might get stuff like knight h4 to g6, stuff like that.
Could you meet h4 with h5?
Yeah, it's a tricky one, that really, because white gets g5 for the knight, and then this square's a little bit weak. Yeah, it's possible. It's just play bishop e2. I don't know. It's possible. Just a little bit tricky, in actual fact. So it's kind of a decision here for black. Black's got to find a good way to do it. It's why I was vaguely wondering about playing just bishop d7, and then just making sure f4 is protected, and just keep the bishop out of the way there, because h4 we're going to have to find something sensible against that. Now I suppose you could, there are possibilities like knight c5. You're threatening d3, so white would probably take on here, takes h5. You could play this move knight h5 because f3 is hanging. But yeah, I don't know. It's just it just all gets a bit messy. Knight h5. I'm attacking this one. Rook f3. I can take on g7. It's probably pretty good, pretty okay for black, I have to say. But it just feels a little bit messy. Whereas with a lovely knight on f4, you sort of think I should have good control. I suppose I could maybe play a move like queen e8. Yeah. It's not 100% stupid, because I'm covering this square, and I'm also trying to get in Natasha's idea of playing queen a4 here. And attacking the white king. So queen e8 might be a possibility. That's definitely possible. I could go knight h5, but just to get out of this. But then white goes knight g5, and that's not really that good. Just trying to think of other stuff I could do. There's nothing really much I can think of. I think maybe queen e8 would be the best move, because I don't think a move like h5, knight h5. Oh, thank you, Kyle. Fantastic. Knight h5. I don't think this would be too bad for black, but white can play a move maybe like knight h4 and just or knight g5 and just try and claim some compensation like that. It's quite still a sharp game anyway. It's going to be quite interesting there. I don't know whether white has moved.
I wonder what Shreyas has decided to do. White's played bishop e2.
Bishop e2. That is a bit slow, I think. So that's going to give black good chances, I think.
Would you think about taking that bishop on e2?
At some stage, yes, but for the moment you don't need to, because knight on f4 is great, and the bishop's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So my natural, I thought would be queen d7. Looking for queen a4. That would be one natural thought.
Nice.
I'd also, maybe you could go to f6 is possible as well. Just thinking about lining up on there, but But yeah, I think I like Queen D7, to be honest. I quite like that move. And we're just going to see, just going to see what White can think up against this idea of Queen A4. Knight takes C2. Okay. Yeah. No, it's certainly not a bad move, but actually, come to think of it, it might be a better move than I'm saying, because I've just noticed that bishop G6, bishop E2. I think what Black wants to do here is Queen E2 is forced to defend the knight on F3, and then you're going to play Knight B4.
Ah, this one, yes.
This one's coming in. So no, actually, this is actually very strong then. So if A3, we're not going to come to A2, we'll come to D3 check. And if rook D3, we'll go bishop D3, and then F3 will be hanging.
Very good.
So actually, this looks just,
It's really strong for Black.
It's very strong. I don't actually know how you deal with that. Maybe maybe you should start doing something like Knight G5. You give them A2, maybe something like this. And if C6, you're going to run over there, shogi style, running with your king, and you'll just claim that you've got a knight on here, which is looking at that. You're maybe going to have H4 to H5, and just claim that you've got some sort of compensation for the pawn. I think that's kind of what I'd be looking
I might bring my knight back out at that stage.
Yeah, you should definitely do that. I mean, I think Black must be better, considerably better. But I think that looks like the most. That really looks like the most the biggest chance there, really, because I don't think anything else is really going to be very healthy at all for you. Yeah, I'm wondering whether you can go Queen D7 simply and just go Queen A4 afterwards. But okay, that's very, very interesting. Just go back to Peter Sowry's game. Well, he's done the Rubinstein plan there. So just with an extra B3, but Black hasn't put the queen on B5 like Salway's put it on A5 there. So now he's got to work out how to defend this pawn on C6. Rook C8, very logical, looking to play C5, but I'll now be expecting Peter Sowry to play this move, Bishop C5. And just swap off the light square bishops, Rubinstein style. Board 3 already finished, says
Oh, is it?
HackAttack.
Oh, no, I was going to just say, let's check in on Tom. Yeah.
Good Lord, has board 3, have we got the result for that one already up?
Let's have a look. Result doesn't appear yet.
Yeah. I'm guessing that Thomas Villiers would have won, considering he's a stronger rated player. But if anybody knows that, then let us know.
Yeah, he sometimes pops onto our stream, so maybe he'll be able to tell us himself.
Oh, fantastic! That's good. I think Black's going to play Rook E8. I'm doing my guesses here. Let's have a look at we'll see whether we got Towels Tactician. That's such a fine username. So Towels Tactician, that's Matthew Payne. He's Black, and he is already a piece up against. And there's this very typical. Oh no! How did this happen then? How did Black get a piece up there? Oh, I can see how this happened. So we got this position from a London system. Black playing very aggressively there, pushing this e pawn all the way through. It's a double-edged thing to do because obviously this bishop on h2 gets very strong when there's no pawn on e5 to block it. But in this case, there was a little tactic here, mainly due to the fact that, pardon me, that White hadn't castled kingside yet. And so Black played knight d3, bishop takes d3, e takes d3, and well, White really should have left that pawn, because after queen d3, we got c5, and and the game was finished in actual fact. C5, and the knight was pinned to the queen on d3. So
oh dear,
so Black just picked up a piece there.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
And that's been a quick win for Towels Tactician, bringing Matthew Payne on to 2 out of 2.
Tal would have been proud of it.
Indeed, indeed. Let's have a look. You said Julia Volovich you wanted to...
Julia's one, yes. Okay. Good, yes, Julia Volovich, that would be great. So she is on, I think, board...
Playing against Barcelonsky.
Yes.
So Barcelonsky, that is Michael Sedic. And
yes.
So in principle, although the ratings here actually on chess.com are quite different, in principle, white should be the stronger player with an over-the-board rating of 2,119, whereas Julia Volovich has an over-the-board rating of 1,674. So now this is a sort of, it looks like a Sveshnikov, but it isn't quite, because white's played c4 rather than e4. This move is quite useful because it stops black from playing b5, which is typical counterplay. And white's got control of this square here. So this is generally thought to be a slight edge for white. White will often play a move like g3, for example, follow up with bishop g2, g3, follow up with bishop g2, and then later you'll take on f6 and just get control of this d5 square. This knight can come round to c2, to e3, to d5, and in general this should be just pleasant for white. So we'll see how that carries on there. Oh yeah, we've had this one with a knight d3 check.
Oh look, this is Shreyas's game.
Indeed. So this is very unpleasant. I mean, either you give up the exchange, which I guess you probably should, although obviously this is very nice for black. If you play king to d2, then that is really asking for trouble.
Knight b2.
I guess oops. King d2 there. Yeah, we'll take on b2 here, and then actually we can follow up with bishop d3, which would be also quite unpleasant. So it's I can just show the line that I'm thinking of. So if knight d3, if you go king d2, just trying to avoid giving up the exchange, we go knight b2, attacking the rook. Rook c1, we go bishop d3. And actually, the queen cannot defend this this knight on f3. So actually, black's just winning a piece already. So this is quite difficult now for white. It's gone quite wrong there. This move bishop e2 was quite unfortunate, really, because when you take on e2, the queen was performing a really excellent defensive task, holding this b4 square. But the queen had to take the knight because the f3 knight was hanging, and then you get this knight b4 in, and all of a sudden this knight, which was looking a little bit, you weren't sure how to get it active. It suddenly comes into the game and combines with the bishop on g6 here. So cutting across the white king there. So this is looking very, very promising indeed.
We could check in on Lara.
Oh, let's.
Whose game we followed yesterday. A very exciting game, actually, yesterday.
Lara 2007.
Yep.
Look, playing against a doggy Dalmatian. So, doggy Dalmatian, my goodness. So, who is better and why? Well, I would say that white is a little bit better in this position. So it's an exchange French. Pawns on. Just have a look at the opening moves there. D5. White plays e takes d5, e takes d5, and then d4. So symmetrical pawns. But how it's all turned out here is that black's played this pawn to f4. And that's a little bit annoying for white because it means that this square is unprotected. So this knight has got an excellent outpost there on e5 eventually. Now, the black knight on g6 is covering it, but that's not a great square for the knight. And you could imagine it being chased away by a rook's pawn there, for example. So in principle, white's got a slight but very pleasant edge here. And it should be very difficult for black to make anything of this at all.
So we might end up with a draw. We had very few draws yesterday night across either the Open or the women's event. I think we had maybe 2 in the Open, and that was it.
Okay, yeah. So so White's playing very solidly here, and nice and fast as well. So yeah, not looking bad at all for the White player there. Let's have a look at. Should we have a look at the board too? Just see how,
Alice Lampard against Susan Barrett.
See how that's going on. Oh, it's a very different sort of game there. So this is a very unusual sort of Benoni, where Black played the move Bishop takes C3 check here.
Okay, interesting.
It's a very unusual
the double pawn structure, but giving up that that bishop. That really, I mean, I like that bishop there on G7.
Yeah. So it's a very double-edged, this one, but a very interesting idea. And actually, what happened in this position, Black played E5, and here I really think that taking en passant was a very, very important move to play here, because when White doesn't take en passant, this bishop is really looking at a wall there. The pawn's on E5. So having got an E5 now, it all makes sense taking on C3, and H5, Queen E3. So in principle, is Black better? No, Black isn't better, I don't think. But Black's got a very harmonious and very very good position now, actually. So going to be an interesting one there. I'm wondering quite how Black should look to make progress. I mean, I guess F5 at some stage is going to come in. You could look to reroute this knight, over to the king side. That's possible, because on C7 it's sort of protecting the queen side, but it's not doing a great deal on there. Queen F6. This is very reasonable as well. Maybe looking for a move like knight F4, for example. And generally putting the queen close to the king side, and you might play a move like Queen G7 afterwards, and then play F5, for example. But very interesting game. But yeah, no, probably about balanced really. But I do quite like Black now that having got in this move E7 to E5, I think Black's whole position makes sense now.
I messaged Tom Villiers on Twitter to come for an interview. He hasn't. I don't think he's seen it yet, though. So
okay. Oh, that would be incredible. That would be our first ever interview on this channel. And yeah, so yeah, Tom, if you fancy it, then please do come on, and we should be able to get you on very easily with our software. So because we are quite intrigued, such a quick game. Let's have a look. Let's go back to board 1. Peter Sauerray against Aardvark CYA. So Peter's playing it very, very Rubinsteiny. So rook's now on C5, queen gone to C2. So I guess that Peter's going to play the rook to C1 next, just lining up on the C6 pawn. And then you could start doing stuff like playing E3, E3 and Bishop F1 afterwards. Yeah, rook C1. I think yeah, I mean Bishop D7 I think is what's going to be played there, and then attacking the pawn on E2, and then I would say that after Bishop D7, yeah, you'll play E3 afterwards.
Yeah.
Just take that pawn, and then you're probably going to try and creep up with the queen. Queen E1, Queen C3, maybe Queen A5, like that. Swapping off queens would be a very reasonable thing to do here, because again, the queen's a piece that can defend dark squares around this this pawn chain. So so yeah, exchange off the queens is a very good idea as well. So yeah, in general, you'd say White's in good control. There's only one thing that that just occurs to me actually, seeing this, and it's that this rook on C5 is a tiny bit short of squares. So after E3, then Black can actually play knight E4.
Okay, so you'd have to take it maybe.
yeah, let me just put that up on the. Oh, wait a minute. I'll close that and then just bring up an analysis board. So we're attacking this this pawn on e2 with the rook and the queen there. So how is white going to defend that? So if you go e3, then knight e4, and this this rook on c5 is short of squares. Only that's not quite the whole story.
Oh.
Because I could play a move like queen b2 here. And annoyingly, after knight c5, we've got a fork here. Black can't actually defend that that bishop on d7.
Very good.
So so you'd actually be you can't actually do that. Although that's quite important then, because I don't know. I mean, I'd be a bit annoyed about playing this. It's maybe fine because the bishop on d7 is not great, and the knight will come on to c5. But I would be a tiny bit annoyed about doing this in general. I mean, maybe even d takes c4 actually, just because of the weak light squares around my king. And I'd rather do that at my leisure when I'm completely certain that I've got everything organized. Maybe when the queens are exchanged, something like that. But you don't even need to do that. You can just play a move like queen b2. So yeah, so plenty of options there for white. Actually, come to think of it, I'm seeing another one. We could even play bishop f1 there, and after queen b7 we go rook a5. So yeah, so this panic of mine is not particularly clever. Oh, okay. What's happened here? Oh, actually, what actually happened was what I predicted, actually, or what I showed. Okay. So knight takes b2, rook c1, bishop d3, this move.
Yeah. Oh, this is very good for black.
Yeah, the queen had to go back to e1, and then black wins a piece.
It's winning, basically, winning for black.
Yeah. So rook g1, bishop comes back to g6.
Now
queen e2, rook f7.
Yeah.
h4 from white. And black played knight d3. So I mean, black's just getting himself organized here. Rook c1, knight f4.
Yeah.
I imagine that this bishop maybe will end up coming back. Okay, here, but now we're going to go e takes f4, and yeah, this is just very, very good for black. Piece up, and two bishops. I mean, the whole house basically. So. Expecting this to be a win for black quite soon.
Yeah. If it hasn't finished already, why don't we check out Jude Shearsby, board 8, against Alekos Ethylontos?
Queens and pawns.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's still there. Indeed. Ooh. Queens and pawns, and the piece has been sacrificed.
So Jude Shearsby, he's another junior player. So
okay.
10 years old, I think. And Alekos, I know from my Barnet Chess Club days.
Okay.
And play in the Barnet League together.
Well, let's have a little look how this happened, because so this was a London system, and here white went for the sacrifice. Knight takes f7.
Oh, wow.
Knight g5 and knight e6. So two pawns for the piece, and but quite a ferocious attack there. Bishop f5, g6, bishop e6 check, and queen f3. So yeah, very dangerous actually.
Quite good for white to me.
It's definitely tricky. I'm just trying to work out what our concrete threat is with white. I guess what we're going to do actually is probably one of the ideas might be to go bishop h3, and then you get a knight e6 check. That's going to be one dangerous idea. Queen h3 is also a possibility, looking for a queen h6 mate. You meet a queen h3 with h5, but that might give some more weaknesses to attack.
Alex may be in trouble. The chat is saying.
Sorry,
Alex may be in trouble. Alekos, he's stronger in slow strategic games.
Okay.
He doesn't like being out and out attacked like this.
Okay, yeah, no, that's I mean another white idea. Just looking at it is well, h4 to h5. Even G4 to G5 is possible. So and I'd rather be white definitely in this position. It is rather awkward, I think, for black.
Yeah. So if you go Queen H3, Queen H3, Queen H6 is mate.
Yeah, but we'll go H5 when you go Queen H3. So Bishop H3 is quite interesting because Knight E6 would be quite awkward probably. H4 feels quite thematic. It's I mean it's not winning yet, by any means, but it is quite pleasant for white. I think. I mean the piece sacrifice was definitely worthy of being played there. I think that's a
known sacrifice, presumably.
Sorry,
it's a known sacrifice.
I've never seen that position before, but the idea of sacking on F7 then taking back on E6 like this is known. Yeah. That's oh, I see that Killer M Shiraz. I've got to learn how to pronounce his name actually.
Shreyas. I think it's Shreyas.
Shreyas. Okay, then we'll try that. Shreyas. So he has won his game in actual fact. So as we expected, did it very. I didn't try mate white, but just simply exchange off queens.
Yeah, well, that's a sensible thing to do.
Which is fair enough, and there we are, and that's a win. So he moves on to 2 out of 2 as well.
Okay.
Oh, Peter Sauray. Oh, indeed, black played Knight E4. Peter found yet another way of keeping his rook safe. So he played B3 to B4. So Knight C5, Knight takes C5 will again fork the bishop and the queen and win material. And next move, white is actually going to play Rook A5. And so that rook will be safe. Only what I could do here is to play Queen B7.
Ah, hitting that pawn on B4.
Indeed. So let's just have a little look at
what happens. Oh, and then you give up the pawn on B4 and take the pawn on A7 instead. Is that the plan?
Yeah, that's sort of possible. So Queen B7. Yeah, I guess you're going to play Rook A5, but this is actually not very clear, to be honest. I think Bishop F5, for example.
Yeah,
this has gone a little bit weird. Because black's pieces are quite active, and you've got you had 2 bad pawns on A7 and C6 really, and now you've got rid of one of them. For a lovely white pawn, lovely white B pawn. So I think, I mean, unless there's a clever, good way of playing, I think this is somewhat inaccurate.
So you might have to now take on E4 and defend B4.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you take with a pawn there. The thing is, then you see, in this sort of position, I can give up the pawn on C6 if I just get my bishop G4 F3. I can even survive a pawn down in an ending just because my bishop's so strong on this square. So I think this B4 was it was clever and it was absolutely the right idea. So Peter clearly saw what he was doing, but I think that Queen B7 just looks like a rather awkward move. And I think maybe he just missed that little detail there.
Yeah.
Because obviously, if you played, we were looking at Queen B2, or we were looking at Bishop F1, and both of those achieve, a similar goal, but they don't leave the B pawn exposed. So yeah, so that could be that could be very interesting. Could be a very interesting game still. Because it's going to get a little bit wild if black grabs the B4 pawn and white grabs the A pawn. Could get turned into a very interesting game there.
Oh, so, Tom says, sounds good. How do I join? So I will.
Right. Okay. Yeah, you can. You've got the link, haven't you?
I'll just send him the link.
Right. Okay. Fantastic. Sarri's a player most for, yes, I can understand. He's a very solid player and well prepared, Peter. So he is quite a tough opponent to play against. He's a solid player. Got quite a few draws against against IMs and stronger players. So very good all-round player, not very experienced, of course. I mean, he was this strength or stronger when I was a little kid, which is a very long time ago. So it's yeah, I mean, he's a very strong player, one of England's best senior players. Let's have a look. So Shiraz we've seen. How is Doggy Dalmatian getting on there with white? Ooh, bishop e6. Now it starts getting quite tempting now to play bishop takes g6 here. Because what we could do is yes, he's on there. Okay, let's put him. Yep, add to the stream. Hello, Tom.
Hello.
Hi, Tom.
Hi, yeah, it's good to see you.
How are you doing? We can
Yeah,
hear you.
yeah.
We can't see you yet.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that is a thing I'll secure. Camera should be coming on in a second.
Okay. How was your game?
Who knows? I was quite pleased with this. I trapped my opponent a line that is quite, so I thought they wouldn't have seen it before.
What opening was it, Tom?
I played this opening once or twice. It's a version of English which goes c4, knight c3,
Oh, let me
e6.
I'll get it up.
Can you find his game?
I'll get it up. I
Aha.
can't see I can't see the game. I'm not quite sure how to get the game itself, how to get games that have been played. But
Oh, okay.
when
I
c4,
can remember the moves. It's like,
oh great.
knight f6 was played. And
Yep.
then knight c3.
Yep.
Yeah, knight c3 and then e6.
Oh, okay.
So I
This is always dangerous. If black doesn't know it, it's always going to be a tricky one. This one. So how did
So, well, I was d5, but instead they played, I think it was knight c6.
Ooh, okay.
And I played 4 to gain space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'd seen this position once. Bishop b4 is played to pin my knight, attack the e4 pawn, put me under lots of. And in response, I play a bit unorthodox with bishop d3.
Ooh, okay. Ooh, I can see what you're teaming up for.
Oh,
Yeah.
what if knight takes d4 then?
Exactly the game.
Okay.
And it's a wrong.
Is it a trap?
e5.
Okay. Let's see it.
Yeah, the knight has to go to g8 to save itself, and then e4, like in the French.
Nasty. Yeah.
Yeah. Slightly less good French.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, actually,
It's just
that's
a tiny bit worse.
It's actually horrific, isn't it? You're actually just losing the whole house straight away.
Yeah, I mean, they tried counterattacking and playing spirited defense, but
Okay, yeah.
I kind of crashed through in the end.
Okay, yeah.
But it was knight f5, and then I grabbed.
Yeah,
the
no,
knight
I mean,
and
it's
Horrible.
it's one of those opening traps that it doesn't just win a little bit of a piece or something. It just really wins.
Yeah, look at that rook.
It really wins everything, really. So, oh wow, that's always nice to have.
Yeah. So you're on 2 out of 2 now, Tom, in this tournament.
Yeah, so far I was hoping I could save energy by winning in the first few games, and then prepare to play maybe Shreyas or Peter Sauray or
Yes.
one of the other top players.
Well, Shreyas,
And my record is not so good.
Peter Sauray is still going.
Yeah.
In fact, if you
Yeah.
watch the stream, you can see how he gets on. He's doing he's sort of doing this blockade on c5 against the Tarrasch. He has his rook in on the c5. Here we go. But it's all kind of the blockade itself is unraveling a bit, so we're seeing how it'll develop.
It's all got a bit sharp.
Yeah, that looks good. Yeah, I feel like Peter's quite comfortable in position. So I remember he beat me in this game in the FNCL. No, not FNCL. The E2 E4 conferences years ago.
Yes.
And I had this as black, and he just completely me for the whole game.
Okay. So if you play him, you'd want to play him kind of next round or round 5 rather than round 4, where you might be black.
Yeah, I think we're due the same colours, so it's very unlikely I'll play him in round 4.
Yeah.
But I think 5, and I'll try and play something ridiculous to hopefully get him out of theory.
It'll surprise him. But if you tell us now, it won't be a surprise anymore.
No, I don't even know what I do yet. just something ridiculous. Yeah.
All right, Tom. Thank you very much. Yeah, good luck with the rest of the rounds. Hope you qualify, and that we'll see you.
Thanks.
Finals.
Yeah, it's a very, very nice you were doing.
It's good fun.
So
good
fun watching it.
I'm sure we'll talk to you again in a later stream, especially if you win quickly. That's
Yeah, exactly. I can see my way rather than having to wait for a really long. Okay, all right. Thanks for having me on.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks very much.
Bye.
That worked quite well. Brilliant.
Yeah.
So you can just get people onto the stream like this. It's just I'm sounding amazed because we had with the original software I was using, we had so many problems getting actually even 2 of us on the stream actually. So I kept on disappearing and freezing. Basically, that was the thing. So and now we can just bring anyone onto the whole thing. Fantastic. So okay, so yeah, this is what we were what we sort of looked at actually, and yeah, this is quite a sharp position, I have to say. I'm just trying to think, how is White going to do this? Just so annoying that that this blockade is unravelled. I would say that I do think that White is probably still a little bit better, but it's certainly not obvious anymore.
Because what you don't want to allow as White is those pawns to start kind of moving down the board and becoming dangerous. At the moment, they're more like targets.
Exactly. But if Black starts getting in C5 and D4 stuff like that, or C5, C4, C3, because this knight was wonderful in A4. Sort of blocking the C5 square. If it no longer blocks the C5 square, then it's just a bad piece. So. I'm really quite torn as to what White should be trying to do here.
Time limit in the qualifications is 45 minutes each side plus 15 seconds, and then when you get through to the finals, then it's a longer game. I think 1 hour each side.
Yeah. It's always the thing, whenever you made a little mistake like this and you've got yourself, a little bit awkward, and there's always a bit of a feeling that is there a way to get back right away, to strike back right away. I mean, let's just do a little analysis thingy. It's an interesting game, this one. I like these. Maybe it's a
strategic game.
Yeah, strategic game, and plenty of content, and both players, playing very with nice ideas actually. So very interesting to see there. So, I mean, you could play a move like Rook B1, which is obviously
it does line up a bit, yeah.
It does line you up a little bit, but okay. I mean, the Queen is attacked, so the Queen will have to move away, maybe to D6. You could try and say, okay, I'm gonna get back. I'm gonna use my B file for something at least. But I'm not sure, actually. I think, if you just play a move like Bishop G6, I think Black's beautifully solid here. This Bishop is gorgeous on here, just doing some attacks and also defending this F7 square. So I don't really know whether there's... I mean, you can come in with Knight B6 or something, but I don't know, Rook B8 or Rook D8 or something like that. And yeah, I mean, this Knight is not... You haven't really found a good space for that Knight. So I don't think that's particularly good. I could now I've got to watch out here because Knight G3 is definitely a threat here.
Yeah.
So yeah, It's a little bit odd for black. I mean, the pieces look a bit awkward when that happens, but I think knight g3 is a really big threat. So, I mean, I can play moves like, or something like, well, queen b3, you know, to just try to exchange off queens and just say, well, you know, in this sort of position, this one will probably get exchanged for, this one will get exchanged for this one. And then I'll just have a position where I'm, you know, I've got an isolated pawn to aim at. But
drawish though. When you
yeah,
get
it's
that.
much more. Yeah, it's much more drawish like that. And there's also the slight issue of queen d2 as well, which is looks rather awkward.
Back to f1 for that.
Yeah, I mean, I could go queen b2. This is possible, but it's, I don't know. I mean, we've got a few things here. I mean, I could even try a move like rook b8 here and takes here, because you certainly can't take this pawn because of rook b1 check. Bishop f1 and bishop h3.
Yeah.
So this is quite tricky, and I'm just not really sure what would be the best way to try and keep some control. And I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm not even sure, you know, I'm not even sure actually that a move like this is any advantage at all for white, actually, because after takes, rook takes, you know, black's very active with these pieces, and you know, the king on g1's a little bit awkward, and this knight on a4 is rather, you know, is not great on a4. It's, you know, rather cut off. So yeah, I don't know actually. Need some inspiration here, because it would be very easy here just to end up with just nothing special.
Yeah.
I was desperately looking to see whether I could do something clever. I mean, again, the sort of thing that you look at is, you know, you go knight c5, and after knight g3, you do something like queen d1, for example. And after knight e4, you're thinking, right, do I have, you know, I've got this rook here, I've got a queen that could come out here, and maybe this queen is a little bit short of squares. You know, do I have something? But I don't think I've got anything. I don't actually see. I mean, this move, bishop g6, you know, is such an annoying one, just getting everything together and, you know, holding it all together. I just don't think that you've got any tactical possibilities here. No, I don't think so. So I don't know. I'm not quite sure.
Doesn't any longer have an advantage in this game, and
I think it's true. I don't think White's got an advantage at all in this game. And if you're looking at the trend, it's more, you know, towards you know, White going a bit worse and Black going a bit better. I think that would be my feeling in this game. But so yeah, definitely need to. Peter really needs to. Oh, he's played queen d1. That's.
Get it out the way of that diagonal.
Ooh, but ooh. Now, the reason I'm sort of wondering about it is, I mean, it's a very reasonable move. You know, queen d1. I mean, you know, we've got some ideas of coming out to f3 or h5. You know, even if they are, you know, quite easily dealt with bishop g6, and of course you're stopping c5 because the queen's attacking d5. Just why I was sort of you know, stopping a little bit nervous. I am a little bit worried about this knight on a4 simply. You know, this knight on a4, and if I play a move like rook a8, let's just have a little look at that. Bishop f5, queen d1. If I play a move like rook a8, is this one going to get into serious trouble somehow? I mean, I guess you're going rook a8.
Yeah.
I could. I mean, rook b1. I'm even. Yeah. There's all sorts of tactics. I'm nervous about those. So, rook a8, and then this knight doesn't actually have a square, so you're going to have to play bishop takes e4 here, I think.
Yeah.
So I'll go bishop takes e4, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, even d takes e4 is possible here. I don't know, but then we go knight c5. That would be annoying because if rook a2, we've got queen d8. Oop, checkmate. So bishop e4, I go probably, yeah, I'd probably go bishop e4, and then you could go, you can go rook c6 in the sense that queen a4 allows takes, and rook c8.
Yeah.
But I could go after rook c6. I might have, for example, a move like d4. Opening up the diagonal.
And you can't go things like queen d4 because queen e1's mate.
Indeed. You could go something like rook b6 because these tricks still work on the back rank. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm really I'm getting very nervous here with white. I mean, maybe after maybe d4 isn't the best, but I mean, even a move like h6 or something, h5 even is possible. I really think the black somehow must have just excellent compensation. I would have thought.
You could surely move your knight out of the way at the end there.
You can. Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I mean, it's where was I? h5. You could go knight c3 in this position. That is absolutely possible. But I'm just, I don't know.
You're worried about your white squares.
I am worried about my white squares. I'm not. I haven't yet. I haven't proved it yet. I do understand that, but I am rather worried about my pieces. Yeah. I mean, something like d4, rook b6, queen a5, for example. E takes d4, and then h5. This sort of thing. And I just wonder how we keeping these two? How are we saving these two? It's
so we have some more results in. Declan Shafi has won his game.
Okay.
And Shiraz. And then on board 16, we've had a win for Peter Finn, and on board 21, a win for Chris Finn.
Oh, very good.
I'm assuming they're related. So it's been a good day in the Finn household this morning.
Fantastic. Okay, let's go back to queens and pawns because this was quite a thrilling one. Ooh, a lot of thinking going on here. Knight h5 has been played.
Okay, so Alekos is playing black here. Jude Shearsby is playing white. And
yeah,
a piece sacrifice for some pawns. And also for some play against the black king. Yeah.
Now knight h5 is a good move, I think. So.
Peter Finn has said that they are indeed brothers. Who's older, Peter? The Finn brothers. And do you like playing chess against each other, or do you try and avoid that if you can?
That's very difficult, isn't it? I always remember when the Pert brothers always had to play against each other. They never enjoyed that.
They were twins. Well, they still are.
Yeah.
Yes.
Peter is older.
Okay. Yes. Good.
So bishop h3 was played by queens and pawns. And I think that's a good move. Because I think it's going to be hard for black to avoid giving back some material. The knight is coming round now to e6 check. So, for example, after knight f4 here, we'll take on f4, and then knight e6 check is a very nasty threat. I mean, maybe black will need to do something like not clear actually. Let's have a little look at this diagram there.
Peter's confusing me because Peter is at university and I'm at home, says Peter. Oh no, maybe his brother's at university. He's at home and they used to play, they play online sometimes. And it's a close match between the two. Well, that's quite convenient, I think, if it is a close match between the two of you, because that's how you get the best practice.
Exactly, yeah. No, it's always a big difference in strength is never much fun, or at least never much fun for one of them anyway. So, and certainly as you get older, your that rivalry, the big rivalry that you had with your brother, or that's what I found, decreases, and then it's just nice being able to do stuff together. So
you get actually a lot of twins in playing bridge. I think is a good game for twins because then there'll be this sort of a good understanding for the partnership. So there's these very famous English bridge playing twins called the Hacketts, Justin and Jason Hackett, and they're really top level players. And then we've got the Pert twins in chess. And then I also know some twins who play both chess and bridge, which is the Eckersley Waits. So there's Tom and completely blank Adam. Tom and Adam Eckersley Waits.
And which one have you played bridge with? You played bridge with one of them, haven't you?
You're going to tell me, don't do this to me. I'm completely embarrassed as to whether it was Tom or Adam. I completely just keep talking, please.
Okay, we'll get back to Queens and Pawns against the Cypriot because it's actually a very exciting game. So sorry, that was mean of me. What have we got here? So yeah, Bishop H3, a very strong move. Actually, a difficult move to spot. These retreating moves when you're attacking. It's not at all what you expect. But White certainly found that, and I think it's a very good move. What's the idea? Well, knight e6 check is a threat that's going to really embarrass the king, and of course the bishop will be attacking this one. So I'd say that the most natural move for black would be to go knight f4. We go queen f4. But then it's a funny setup for white, but it's actually quite difficult for black to for black to find a way out of it, because this queen can't move anywhere really. I mean, anywhere like here you get forked, and if you go to g8, for example, not a very good move. Knight e6 check would work, but also bishop d7. So very hard for black to get the queen free. So normally what you'd say, well, okay, should we just be practical and give up some material? We'll go there. White will play knight e6 check, and then we'll take this one. And then we've got to take back with the bishop. But okay, we've got 2 pieces for the rook at least. White's got a couple of pawns. We can
play bishop takes knight and then take the rook.
Exactly. Very strong. Bishop d7. And after queen d7, queen b8 is completely winning. So even that doesn't work in actual fact. Probably even throwing a check on the e6 first.
Yeah, that's even better.
Even stronger. So so actually that makes it very, very awkward. And not at all obvious as to how you're going to get free. I would say maybe something like bishop c6 maybe. Defend that knight on d7. Would be an idea. I mean, if we go knight e6, I mean, king g8, this looks horrific for black, but it's not easy for white to get through. If we go queen h6, then black's just in time to go bishop f8. No, he isn't. He isn't. We take on f8. Good lord! And after queen f8,
bishop e6.
Bishop e6. What? This is.
It's tricky. This is hard.
This is hard. Black. Yeah, this is really hard. I don't know. Oh, we seem to have an echo somehow. Can you? Sounds like I was talking again. Okay, no, I'm fine again. I could hear myself talking, but yeah, no, this is really hard. Oh, yucky. Well, problems there for black, and a very fine move. This bishop h3. I mean, maybe you shouldn't be taking on f4, but then I don't quite know what.
What would you do? Bishop f6.
Yeah.
Look at that e6 square there.
Things that I'm getting nervous about playing bishop d6 then, and then I'll even have g4 then to win that that knight. So it's really very, very awkward, this one. Yeah, very impressive. Oh, black has played knight takes f4. Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I'd expect rook f8 as a move normally, but I think that's I think it's looking very good for very good for white there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, that's a very exciting game. Anyway, we're definitely going to make got to make a note of that game as an interesting game from round 2. That's just take a little note of that because very exciting. Round 2, and that was queens and pawns against the Cypriots. Let's have a look. Has anything happened in this game? Oh, okay. So we've this is
The
not.
white squares are starting to look very weak, aren't they?
They are looking weak, but this has gone a bit strange actually. So after bishop e4, so I was wanting to play bishop takes e4, and black actually played queen takes e4, which is I can explain the reason for that. It's certainly not silly at all. The idea was that after rook c6, you can play rook takes a4, and you've kept your bishop defending the c8 square.
Oh, yeah.
So the idea is simply that you know, there's no mate, so the knight's still unprise. But knight c5, it just gets that knight out with tempo. Now, I would have been tempted, I suppose, to keep the queens on. You know, maybe play a queen e7 or something, because that knight is not particularly solid on c5 without pawn support. Black's gone bishop g4. That makes me a little bit nervous.
If it's all swapped off, right? You'd go like knight takes a queen and bishop takes a queen, takes, and you get into this rook and pawn ending.
Takes a, you mean? Takes.
Yeah, that's quite drawish.
That should be drawn. That should be drawn, definitely. Yeah, what I'm thinking of more is got to think of the way to do it. I mean, I could go knight d6. I can do it like this. You know, I could go here, rook c6, rook a2, and king g2 here. I guess bishop e6 is just that's just going to be a draw, isn't it? The most you'll ever get is rook and 4 versus rook and 3. So, I mean, the natural thing would be to go knight c5. The bishop goes to f3, I guess, and then you play a4. But yeah, actually, come to think of it, king f8 looks very reasonable. I mean, the king's just coming to d6 here, you know, and yeah, why should black be worse? Actually, probably no real reason. So maybe bishop g4 is indeed completely fine. It feels a bit funny, but no, I'm probably just being you know, hypersensitive or something about it, because it does look, after knight e4, bishop d1, I would say that black's doing pretty well, really. Just a question of whether you can. I mean, I can go knight d2. I can go knight d2, and then I suppose you could go bishop a4, and then go bishop b5. And then you bring the king just into d6 after. This must be fine for black. This really must be fine. Yeah. So
Little update from the women's tournament. Then Maria, the top seed, has won her game today. She had she lost in the first round. She's now right back in there on 1 out of 2.
okay.
Beaten Durant. And we have Tashika Aurora has won. Also, Hannah Lowry O'Reilly has won, and Imogen Dyson. The boards 1 and 2 seem to be still going in that. So Lara and Alice we were following the games of.
Indeed. So White is doing a very good job. Has won a pawn, 2 connected pass pawns on the queen side. So you really would feel that that the White is technically winning in this position.
Yeah.
Also because you know, you can play a move like knight e5 here, for example, and this bishop is completely dominated. You know, it's in real trouble. So yeah, I mean,
oh yeah, look at those queenside pawns they're going to run.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, knight e3 is also a good move, just attacking the pawn on g4. So yeah, big problems here for the board 1 black player there. Now then we've got Alice Lampard against Susan Berry, and White has just won here with this huge
powerful, doesn't it?
on
Look
the
at
on the dark squares there. Yes,
and pawn on d6, stopping the king coming out via e7.
absolutely. So that is.
Oh yes, 2 bishops for a rook in that one.
Let's have a look. What else we got? We've got. We were looking at Barcelonsky against Julia Tatad. And that was Julia Volovic, wasn't it? I think.
Oh, yes, that's right.
So yeah, white is still just quietly better. Just the fact that the white has this pawn, this square on d5 for the knight, you know, and
it looks like this is still pretty close to the opening.
Yeah, no, they've both been spending a lot of time there, in actual fact. And Black's done one thing very well, and that's get the dark square bishops exchanged. So that is a good thing. And then Black will be probably putting a rook on d8, playing castles, playing f5. It's all right. It's all right. It's I mean, I prefer white, but Black's done pretty well at the opening to get like this, because it could easily have turned quite nasty. So that one's still going on as well. Let's have a look. We've got 4 games we're following. Have you got some more we could follow, Natasha?
Yes, I'll have a little look. Let's see what's still going on in the open. Oh, sorry, excuse me. Okay, so in the open, still in progress, we should have Matthew Payne, Taos Tactician.
No, he won actually.
He won. Oh, it's not chalked up on here. Julia Volovic, we've seen. Queen and Pawns we're looking at already. Okay, Finn Goodhue, Simon Wilkes against Finn Goodhue.
Okay,
so
let's have a look at that one.
9.
Sunto 9, yes, they're playing. Oh, we just got into there in time, and just to see that that white was
okay. White's going to win.
Well, white has won there, so Black has resigned.
Yeah. Fine.
Very powerful kingside attack there.
Yeah. Okay, so boards 10, attacking Snow Leopard against Thomas Wills.
Oh, we looked at Thomas Wills' game yesterday, didn't we?
We followed Thomas Wills yesterday. He had the long-running game, and he eventually won it.
That's right. He was playing Speedy. He was playing Speedy Elephant, I think.
Yes, that's the one.
So this one, it's attacking Snow Leopard against Thomas Wills. So Black.
So attacking Snow Leopard is Indy Southcott Moyers against Thomas Wills.
Okay, so Black is a pawn up now, temporarily, or maybe longer. And White has the bishop and rook against king. So Black's just played knight takes c3. So let me just get an analysis diagram up, because that's quite useful, since a lot of pieces are going to get exchanged, I think. So if you go bishop takes c3, rook c3, that's quite a natural one to go rook a6. Then Black has rook takes f3, so that's rather nasty. If after knight c3, if I go rook takes a6, then I would guess that you've got knight a2. Slightly nervous about that, but no, the knight's safe, of course. Yeah, I'm just being silly. So that actually looks like quite a nice pawn for white there, for Black rather. Bishop d2. I guess. Oh, actually, that's not quite. We should go rook c2 though. That's the key thing. Just trying to work out a way. Is there a way for white to put the bishop somewhere and not allow the knight to defend properly? I mean, if I go bishop b1, for example, because if you go knight c3, the idea is to go something like rook b6 and just attack this pawn on b5 and then threaten bishop c3. And if the knight's defending the pawn from a dark square like this, then it can be tricky when white's got a bishop on e1. So that might be a possibility, but I think you could probably play rook c1 first of all. And if king f2, you go rook c2 check. And if you go king f1,
would you?
I'll go knight b4. Yeah, I mean, maybe after rook c2 check, maybe you should play king e3 and go for some activity, but it's going to be a toughie to hold that one, I think. So it's looking like Thomas Wills is yeah, good position there, and he has indeed just taken on A2. That's the position we've got on the board there. Oh, I've just seen that Doggy Dalmatian has actually defeated Lara G.
Okay.
A bit of a surprise there on the top board. So this fork of King and Bishop giving Doggy Dalmatian, that's Lindsay Pyun, a win. So well played, White. Hard luck, the black player.
Yeah, I thought we could also check in on Ian Lamb's game.
Ian Lamb, hey.
And that is board 12. So it's Matt Chapman against Ian Lamb. And Matt
The real McCoy.
Yes.
Have we got him? Oh, yes, there we are. That's correct. So what is happening here? Looks like White is a number of pawns up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 against 4. So White's 2 pawns up here.
So Ian Lamb is on the defensive in this game.
Indeed.
Or maybe the attack.
Yeah. Well, he's got a strong bishop on d5. That's definitely true. And a bit of play on the b file. And maybe the queen can zoom across over to here. That would be great. But yeah, in principle, White's doing pretty well. Quite short. Yeah, probably a move like Queen D4 is very sensible. You know, just
it stops the queen coming in, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, stop the queen coming in, and then just
try and come in round via E7 and G5.
Yeah, we can do that. I think we'll probably play moves like F3 and King H1, and just sort of consolidate like that, I guess.
It is 2 pawns up.
It's 2 pawns. I mean, there is counterplay because this bishop on d5 is quite strong, but in principle, White is doing quite very, very well there.
Yeah,
and a little bit frustrating for White that Rook C7, Queen A4. Not 100% clear really how much that Rook is doing on C7 because it's a bit hard to double up. So I think probably would be the best thing to do would just be to consolidate and play a move like Queen D4 and just keep it together basically. Play a few strengthening moves on the king side, maybe Rook C3 to G3 or something like that, or like that, just to strengthen your king side and then gradually just move on. That should be quite good for White. Let's have a look. Peter Sowry. Also, Peter Sowry, he went for the rook ending there.
Okay, why not?
Actually, that is actually quite interesting. That rook ending, because I was maybe a little bit too quick with my that's just equal comment.
Oh.
Because well, I mean, long term, White does have should we do a little analysis diagram there? Let's have a look. So Rook D1, D takes C4. What did Peter play? D takes C4. He went Rook D2. Then King F8, I think, was played. King F1, something like this. Is that correct? Is that the position? He's gone Rook A3. So, White's long-term plan here is to put the king round to B2, and just start moving that A pawn. And of course, the king's cut off from the D file here. So you're not going to be able to support anything. So really, I think that Black should really be looking very strongly here for a kingside counter-attack.
With like what, H5 and F5?
Yeah, king coming in here basically. I mean, just the idea would be that this is obviously not going to happen, but just bear with me just to show it. That you counterattack, like this basically. So by the time white's got the a pawn up to the top, it's going to take quite a while. Black's actually, creating a pass pawn by himself. So, for example, if you went king b3, I go h5, a3, g5, not a3, sorry, Matthew, actually a bit sensible. King b4, g5, a4. Actually, a bit hard to get past that barrier here, by the way. And I go h4 like this. And then afterwards, rook a2, I maybe go a3. And who knows, somehow maybe I can get in king g2 and
oh, that h pawn's queening.
Well, yeah, that's right. I mean, it's not quite right what I'm showing, but that should be the general idea, because it takes white a very long time, to push this pawn to queen. I can play a move like rook a6, for example, and then you've got to go all the way around there before you get there. So, in the meantime, you would think that you could get something done. Yeah. I think it probably still is drawn, but of course, white can do a lot of stuff. White can play h3, to stop you getting into g4. But then you should probably, you should do something like h5, and probably something like, I guess g5 and h4, and then you can maybe play f5. But once the white king is here, you can then, of course, just move with your rook there. So I don't know. Yeah, it's quite a tough one. This one, yeah. I was way too superficial when I said that one was a draw. Still a lot of life left in the position there, I think.
We can look at board 5 from the ladies, and that's Raelin Posadas, who is playing black, and Shri Rao is playing white. And Raelin, she is a nurse, so she's been working, like, I think, for the NHS, and is now hopefully managing to get some time off to play in this event and play chess.
Fantastic. Well, she's doing very well indeed, because she is a piece up. So, yeah, just a clear bishop up, with the exchange of queens on the cards, and a lovely open rook on the open d file. So, looking very good indeed for Raelin there. Let's just have a look. How did she win a piece? How did this all happen? It was like this. You can see the start of it here, a nasty pin on the knight on f3. Yeah. And we've got a bishop on d2 ready to take away this knight from supporting f3. And we also have got a knight coming into d4 there. And in actual fact, what happened was knight d4 came in, which was very, very strong indeed there. So, and after queen c4, knight takes f3, takes, bishop takes c8. We got bishop takes d1. And that's how the piece was won. So, well, white managed to make a little bit of a mess with some desperados, but this position is very, very strong indeed for black. Should really be winning. So, well, lots of luck with that. That's very, very good. Excellent game. I can see somebody's got an absolutely beautiful username. That's the Curious Parrot.
Yes,
so,
I think that game's finished.
Has that game finished? Okay. Well, I'll definitely remember the Curious Parrot for for future streams. That's a really nice, a really good username. It's some very creative usernames in this. Very impressive. Let's have a look.
How Alekos and Jude are going?
That's a very good idea. A draw. Good Lord. So we got so bishop c6 was played in this position, which was indeed one of the moves. Oh yes, and this is where we were slightly wrong. I have to say, because we'd said check, king g8, queen h6. Well, bishop f8 was winning because we got knight f8 and bishop e6 check. But after king g8, queen h6, you could go bishop f6
That's better.
However, a knight g5 would still be very, very strong for white there.
Okay.
Because it's very hard. It's very hard to stop bishop e6.
Bishop e6.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can go bishop g7 maybe, but I mean, you are getting very, very nervous. Very, very nervous about this for black, of course. So maybe there's an even better move than. I think we'd have something absolutely brilliant there, wouldn't you? Really? I could go knight c5. I've still got bishop g7 there. Oh, that would work quite well. Bishop e6 check. As long as I've got access to f4, then it's going to be huge. So I think that would have been really strong. I think knight e6. But what happened in the game was, I think, yeah, I've overwritten it now. It looks like. So I think that white played castles, bishop f6. Queen d6 and rook b7, and they agreed a draw there.
Okay.
So, I think, probably both players a bit exhausted and nervous after the huge effort of defending there. So, but well played, interesting game, and very interesting piece, Sack, and well defended. Well defended. Excellent. It's very nice. They said well played, good game, good sharp game. Very nice. Fantastic. Attacking Snowflake against Twills.
Okay.
So, there could be some. There could be
Leopard,
some.
not Snowflake.
I'm sorry, attacking Snow Leopard. Sorry. I do apologise. Yeah, this is obviously this is very tricky for white here. King's getting a little short of squares actually, so got to be a little bit careful with that. I think if we go rook b2 and then we can threaten knight f2 check afterwards, that would be rather nasty. And of course, this pawn is also running all the way to b2. Very hard to stop it. So this is looking very, very strong for black. The only thing I could think of is if you got a king on h5 and a bishop on f8 check, that might be that would be a way of counterattacking. But an awful lot has to happen before you can get that. So I think black looking good for a win here at the moment. Just going back to this game, black playing it very nicely, keeping control. Good strong bishop on f4, queen and rook very powerful. So looking very good for black there for Aylin. Let's have a look. You asked for this one, didn't you? This was Ian Lamb.
Oh, yes.
Ooh, well, we've got
what does Nate threaten?
Yeah, and we've got this.
Yes.
This is suddenly looking a little bit nerve-wracking. This one.
He could do it if he can get his queen in to f3. Suddenly, it's very, very powerful.
So how are we going to do this? We've got a couple of moves. I mean, we can go f4, which is one idea. I suppose the only other real idea is queen e3. That makes you a little bit nervous because black goes rook f3, and yeah, I mean, why would you want to give black an attacking tempo like this? So I'm thinking that that f4 is really the move. And no, not observe. I want to do an analysis session. Yeah. Let's have a look. So f4 feels like the most natural idea.
Would you go crazy with like g5?
You could do. I mean, there's another idea here, which is, but I don't know whether it's any good. The idea is just if rook f3, then I've got rook c8 check, which is very unpleasant.
Okay. Okay.
But you can go bishop takes f3, But then the only question is, do I have anything exciting there? But I don't think I do. I think it's just. So I think f4 would be the most natural move. Now, obviously, queen e2, we can play queen f2. Queen h3, we can go queen f2 or rook f2, conceivably. You want to go g5. I suppose the big. The big problem here always is that we've got f5, and that d5 is hanging.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit
strong.
How are we going to get our pieces? This knight on d6 is a bit of a monster. That's the problem. How are we going to get ourselves organized there to do something brilliant? I mean, maybe you don't bother too much. You just go h5 and then just ask white, what you're going to do. I think that's probably a very sensible thing to do, because yeah, of course, white will obviously be a little bit nervous after having having allowed all these light squares to be weakened. So yeah, a move like h5 I think is certainly not silly. But yeah, it's just so unfortunate that your rooks are so tied up. I mean, there's something to be said for giving up this rook for this knight somehow. You can do it directly, or maybe just a move like rook b8 to b5 or something like that. Just to try and get rid of that knight. But yeah, I mean, in general, I think White's still doing well. White's played f4 there, but okay. I mean, better chances I think than a few moves ago, because it is very nice to have forced those weaknesses like that. So I'd say I'd suggest h5 here, and just go for it like that.
Okay, and how's Julia Volovich getting on now against Mikhail Sadiq?
Oh well, White is very short of time. Oh, good lord! And look at Black. Black's pawn up. Two connected pawns.
This has been a bit of a turnaround.
Indeed. My goodness. Okay, let's have a look. And look, White's only got 38 seconds on the clock. Let's have a look then, because I thought it was going to be a game that lasted forever and ever. The castles, knight d5, queen d8, b4, knight a4, rook d1. So far, looking very sensible. Oh dear me! Look at what happened. This very logical move, knight c2.
Yeah.
And then knight b2 happened.
Ooh, a fork of the pawn on c4 and the rook on d1.
Oh, I can hear some sort of scratching in your sound, Natasha.
Oh, don't know why.
As if you were eating crisps, in actual fact.
I'm not. It sounds nice though. It's a good idea.
It's gone now. It's just a little bit of a scrunching sound. It's back again. It sounds like you're. If I was guessing, I'd say you had a secret pack of biscuits under the desk there that you were. Really how strange. Okay, so anyway, knight b2 happened, and there's a fork on d1 and c4 there, and that was kind of a disaster. So after rook e1, knight takes e4, knight b6, got exchange, but Black was just always a pawn up, and this was a little bit risky, this way of playing. Then White was to break the pin. White had to give up the b4 pawn there.
So those queenside pawns are looking nice now.
Those queenside pawns are awesome, and yeah, Black playing very sensibly here. Blocking the kingside pawns. Queen very well placed on c5, and now I mean this pawn has got can go all the way. I mean,
White's trying to counterattack by pushing up the g pawn here.
Indeed. Yeah, I mean, you can leave it, or I would play a4. I think.
Yeah.
Carry on with that. That looks very strong. Yeah, this looks really very difficult for White now. I mean, h takes g4 is also a very good move here as well. Just not particularly clear which piece white should take back with.
What if white takes back with the knight here?
Yeah, I would be very tempted just to take it off, to be honest.
Yeah.
And carry on pushing my pawn. I mean, the king's open now. You see, I suppose that's kind of the main thing. You take off, takes, and then I go a4. The king's open, so I've always got checks to just to organize my pieces. You know, I can go queen c6 check or whatever. So, you know, you'd expect this again to be really, really strong for black. Probably if in a practical game, I'd just go a4, just because you say, you know, well, it's looking good for me now. Why should I change, you know, the structure? But I think, you know, there's many very good ways of playing this.
So white would then take on h5. Okay. Oh, we've got a result.
Indeed, that's so. Raylin has actually won that one.
Raylin's won. Well done. So she moved on to 2 out of 2 as well.
Excellent, excellent. 2 out of 2. What have we got? Geary Student against Real McCoy.
Okay.
Knight c8 was played. I'm not sure about Knight c8.
Wow. Interesting. What's
well, the idea of Knight c8 was white wanted to play Knight e7 check.
Yeah.
To pick up the bishop. So now black played bishop f3, and white played Knight e7 check. Interesting. Maybe the bishop should have gone to e4. Maybe that would have been a more natural square just to cover this diagonal.
Yeah.
Because I think in this way, then white's well, at the very least, you can play this move Knight g6 check. You know, that's possible just to get rid of this bishop.
I see.
Oh, this is very clever. This is very, very clever. So I'm
Queen f3. Yeah.
Well, because actually between this move Knight c8 to e7 and now this, the bishop actually has to leave this diagonal. It doesn't have a square on the diagonal, so it's going to have to go to something like e2.
E2, yeah.
And then we can play, you know, for example, rook f2, and then the bishop goes back to b5. And well, I mean, black's attack is less dangerous, you know, in that way.
Yeah.
So, oh, actually, we've got h3 here, haven't we? We've got h3 here, which just wins the piece, in actual fact.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that should be very well played. Very nice maneuver, this Knight c8 to e7. I was thinking it was a little bit weird,
but it's, yes, turned out very well.
It turned out very, very well indeed. So, excellent there. Okay.
How are you doing?
Oh, that's a good point. Let's have a look. Oh, okay. So
rook and 3 against rook and 3.
Rook and 3 versus rook and 3. That looks like it's. He declined a draw. Peter Sowry declined a draw, but this is going to be a hard.
White here, and white
Yeah.
has declined a draw. Do you have got any chances to win?
No, no chances to win at all. I mean, actually, what Blank did here was very clever. He just played c4 to c3 all the way down.
Yeah. And
forced rook c3, rook a2. Yeah. So I guess Peter was a little bit slow bringing his king over to the defense of the a pawn, and this just allowed because he played you know, after rook a3. I think you know, king d1 would have been sensible. But here, this is no. There is really no chance for a win here. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
So George Miller is playing black.
Yeah. No, this should be fine. I mean, I just did a little bit of a double take there because it would be much more natural to keep the rook on. I think I've got maybe too many windows open. It would have been more natural to keep the rook on the second rank, attacking the f2 pawn, because then the king can never move. Whereas here, white's going to play king f4. You know, but I mean, we can just play rook b2 here, you know, and that should be fine.
Okay, and then rook 8. So king f4, rook b2.
King f4, rook b2, rook f8, king e6.
Yeah, and you can't take that pawn because of rook f2 would pick up the rook.
Yeah, so I mean this is completely drawn. I mean rook f1 is also a very good move as well. So yeah, so this should just be a draw. I mean the black player played it extraordinarily well because a difficult opening and found some very good moves to draw there. So yeah, really very impressive.
Nice game.
Nice game. Let's have a look. Oh no, so white missed h3 there, played rook f2, and bishop b5. So yeah, the bishop still lives to fight another day, but I would expect white now to play queen f3. That would be a very nice move, I think. Just threatening to exchange the queens, and if the queen moves over to here, then I go knight g6.
Knight g6. Yeah, this looks pretty convincing, I think, for white now.
Yeah, this looks very, very strong. So you would expect white to win that. I mean, of course, time's a little bit short. You do get a 15-second increment, but still, you know, I mean, you're reaching under a minute now. But this should be. I mean, if you play a move like queen f3, I think that's you know that is very, very strong. Oh, h3. Okay, a move. Oh, is that really clever, or is that?
h3 now.
Yeah, I mean it's possibly a very clever move actually, because what you could do. I'm just a bit nervous. Let me just close a few windows here, and then I can open an analysis board. Because it's a very interesting game, this one. So many analysis boards there. I'm able to open one now, surely. So have I got an analysis board? No. Oh, okay. When knight f8. Yeah, somehow I'm missing my analysis boards here somehow. But anyway, what I was actually expecting here was maybe for white to play queen f3. With the idea of playing rook h2, trapping the queen.
Oh, God.
And if you played queen g4 in this position, I'd just take and go rook h2
mate. Checkmate. Very nice. Yeah, very nice.
Which would have been quite gorgeous. This is, I mean, actually, to be honest, this is actually half reasonable for black because you've got rid of that knight, so your remaining rook is actually a bit more active. So. Yeah, I think that wasn't a good way to play. Now white plays queen f3, but now the black queen can escape round to f5. You know, so if necessary. So this actually
and there may be chances of that bishop to sometime get back on this long diagonal. Although I can't see the route yet.
Well, I mean, rook d3 is a big threat now. Actually, I do think that. White's got to be very careful.
Here, isn't there?
Yeah, this could all go. This could go wrong. This is one of those positions that could go wrong.
Yeah.
So White's got to be very, very careful here. You know, and now what I'm wondering about here. I mean, because if I go rook h2, then then the queen goes for rook h2, or the queen's going to go back to f5.
Yeah.
Now if I go queen h5 here, then queen b1 check is really nasty. You know, I mean, that's definitely not clear.
B1, and then what? King g2, and rook in as well.
King g2 and then rook in. Yeah.
Yeah.
So. Oh, come on, give me an examine analysis. Oh, I'm doing the wrong command. That's why I think. Yeah, I'm doing the wrong command. That's why. So rook h5. Okay, so but now we go queen b1 here. Okay, king g2. Do we have anything here? Rook d2 check, king h3. Yeah, bishop f1, you're going to go king h2. Now, the point is white's threatening queen a8 checkmate here, which is why... But here I could go bishop g2.
That looks nice. Threatening queen h1 and also threatening bishop f3.
Yeah, the question is, how strong is queen h1? That's the question. Because queen h1, I can go king g5 and maybe...
Yeah.
Maybe I'm all right there. What's happened here? We've had king h2 there. Rook d2. I'm wondering, did we have better than rook d2? I'm not sure.
What about bishop e8 instead?
Bishop e8. We're not really threatening very much, though. Are we? I don't know. If I go rook c8, maybe, or something. So.
He's done it. Oh, this looks really good, doesn't it?
Well, just king h4. I mean, I'm threatening queen a8 mate now.
Yeah. So you can't go bishop to e2. You still have to do it to g2.
Yeah, exactly. So, and if bishop g2, then well, I think queen b3 or something. You're threatening queen b8 mate. So I don't actually see how you're.
Okay, so white's safe.
Wait a minute. Sorry, am I hallucinating? Sorry. What's this? Bishop f1, king h4. Has he played king h4? There's rook h2. There's rook h2. Sorry, I'm hallucinating completely.
Oh, and now bishop e2.
Oh, queen g6 check.
Ah, yes.
Rook d5, bishop h3. It's going to be mate.
Wow, what a save.
And he's played it, queen g6. Look at that. My goodness.
Ian Lamb.
Okay, so bishop h3 now. Played. King h4. And bishop f5 is what I'm expecting. Got 33 seconds for this final move, so should be able to do it. I mean, bishop g2 also wins the queen. Wins the queen.
It's going to be good enough.
It's going to be good enough, yeah. Because I think you've still got a mate. You still got force mate, actually. So bishop f3, king f3, queen d3 check, king g4, queen e2 check is mate. So I think that's going to be good enough. Oh, he's played again. Bishop f5 mate.
Yeah. He's not going to go for the draw.
He can't do. Surely not.
No, of course not.
Okay.
Spending time on the clock.
Yeah, probably. And now bishop f3.
Because he does get 15 seconds to move.
He does indeed, but he's spending quite a lot of time, really. So
yes. I would take the queen now. Oh, or yeah, no, take the queen.
It's just force mate, mate in three. Yeah. Come on, clock. Oh, what's happening? Oh, he's taken it. He's taken it.
All right.
I'll give it a check.
Yeah,
right,
okay.
Okay.
This is going to be fine.
And queen e2 mate now.
Queen e2. He's done it. Yeah, well done. Well played, Ian Lamb.
Well played, Real McCoy. Fantastic. Peter Sauer has drawn this game.
Yeah.
So,
and Julia has won.
I think Peter was playing for a very tricky trick, actually. So I think he was playing in this position. He was looking for king g5,
right,
and then f4 discovered check.
Ooh. Yeah, picking up that rook.
Oh, so they're having a conversation afterwards, the two opponents, and he's saying that they played a very long time ago, these two players.
Ah, nice.
And Peter Sauer said, it's my biggest chess regret. I never kept my score sheets until about 10 years ago.
You could message him and say, do you want to come onto the stream?
He said he's having a rest now, Peter. Yeah. So, yeah, that's... but okay, good game, well played. yeah, it's very well played, George Miller. A very fine draw against a very fine player. So let's have a look. We've still got, in terms of games still going, I think we've got
not very many. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, good lord! Oh, this is
We
not.
still have Attacking Snow Leopard against Thomas Wills appears to be still
Indeed,
there.
we're looking at it, and this has not gone well.
Oh.
It's actually just a clear draw, this game.
Okay. This is the last game going on.
Oh, I'm saying it's a clear draw. That's actually a very clever move from. Oh, that's very sneaky. Yes, you needed to be a bit more careful than that. We've got ourselves zugzwanged here. So let me just show you what was on the cards. Although, no, it wasn't that clear. Well, King F8, the idea is if King H6,
yeah.
I've got this idea of Rook H1. So if Rook E3, there's Rook H4 checkmate.
Don't want that.
But probably if you do it in this way, I could just go H5, for example, and then just move my king up and down, you know, and it would that would be absolutely fine. White's gone G5. Let's have a little look at this one then. So it takes, king takes. So you really want this pawn to be on E2 already, so you could give a Rook G1 check. But yeah, now White's going to play King F6 here.
And then run the H pawn.
Oh, okay, King H5. Ooh, King H5. Ooh, King H5. That was not a good move. King F6 was. I mean, I'm even wondering whether White's winning actually after King, or not winning. No, he wouldn't be winning, but he looked very good. But this is going to be a bit tricky now because we go King F6. Oh, good lord! Oh, what a turnaround actually. My goodness me.
Mm.
Yeah, this is just winning for Black now. Oh, very elegant indeed.
You can't take the pawn. Yeah.
Here we go. Rook takes H4. So, oh, amazing! Just goes to show, you know, these endings. You just got to keep on. You've got to keep on going, really, because you really can. Anything can happen as soon as time gets a little short. You know, not even 20 seconds or whatever, but you know, even a minute. You know, people trying to speed up, and that's when mistakes can happen. So yeah. Oh, very tough luck attacking Snow Leopard, because that was really yeah, huge effort, of course, to defend that game, and nearly got there, and then just at the end it just didn't work out. Yeah, and this is obviously just winning for Black. Is this the last game ongoing?
Yeah. Let me just check the women's as well. I think. Yeah. The women's has finished with all decisive games. And on 2 out of 2, we have Lindsay Pune, we have Alice Lampard, we have Aurora Tashika, Hannah Lowry O'Reilly, Raylin Posadas, Rida Rukaya, who won by default today, and Imogen Dyson. So those 7 players all on 2 points. And in the Open, we have just that one game going. And on 2 points, we have Declan Shafi, Tom Villiers, who we saw on the stream just now, Matthew Payne, Tristan Cox, Shreyas Royal, Julia Volovich, and Simon Wilkes. This one, whoever wins this game that's going on.
Thomas Wills, you mean?
Yes, sorry, Thomas. Soham Kumar, Ian Lamb, Steve Key. Oh, we've got quite a few, actually. I'm going to read them all then.
No, you don't need to read them all, but yeah, it's a good...
Simon Smith, Morgan Johnson French, Peter Finn, Harry Evans, Ethan Rathbone Jones, we're nearly there now, Joshua Pink, Chris Finn, James Merriman, and that's it on 2 out of 2.
Okay, so yeah, still, I think...
fair number, though. Yeah, so we should have sort of maybe 10 or so boards of people all on 2 out of 2.
Fantastic.
And that's going to resume tonight. So the matches start at 7 p.m. Tonight, and we will start up again just 10 minutes before that, so at 6:50. Exactly.
So yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Hope you're enjoying this. It's yeah, having good fun watching it, and it's going to start hotting up now as we whittle down the amount of players on maximum points, and players are really playing for the qualification places to the finals. So it's a short tournament, only 5 rounds. So I mean, one mistake is crucial really from now on. So should be very, very interesting. So please join us at 18:50 UK time this evening for the 3rd round of the Caplin Online British Chess Championships, the qualifiers. And yeah, thanks very much for watching. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Danny.